Hi, it's Kevin May, the Editor-in-Chief of PhocusWire here, joined by Jeff Sakasegawa. Thank you very much. You are a trust and safety architect at Sift Science.
I am.
Based on the West Coast here. Thank you for joining us here in the PhocusWire studio. We've done a lot of work with Sift Science. We've done various things. And it's extraordinary how broad the fraud element in the industry is. In particular, I mean, loyalty fraud. Is really evolving at quite a scary rate, I would imagine you would say.
It is, yeah. It's one of those things where my mother is thankful that I have job security, but it's built on a lot of unfortunate events that are happening. And it's a lot of the reason that Sift Science exists and what we're trying to help businesses with, because, you know, fraud is quickly outpacing their ability to stay abreast of like the manual reviews they have, or really accommodating these instantaneous experiences that are so positive for customers, but just force a really strong fraud infrastructure to support that.
And how dangerous can loyalty fraud get, do you think?
Oh, it's very much so. When you think about this amount of stored balances and the liability for companies that exist, oftentimes when I talk with folks, they talk about a double whammy of sorts, where if an account takeover happens and you lose that transfer of points, one, you need to make your good, loyal customer whole, and you're also losing that original points that got transferred out. So you're tipping them off, but also losing that inventory. So it can get really costly really quickly for a lot of companies.
How sophisticated is this particular type of fraud technically? You know, the fraudsters, how sophisticated are they now?
Oh, they're getting very much more so. A good way to think about this is, if you know that an existing company or solution is only looking at 10 signals, 50 signals, you know how to game the system, right? So you're essentially trying to leverage additional insights, give yourself that advantage, because you can be technically proficient and smart and attack that way, or you can just overwhelm systems with volume, right? I'm just gonna throw as much at you as humanly possible, and if 60% of it converts, I'll be happy with that. I'm happy to lose the 40%. So it can certainly be a technical thing that fraudsters are getting better at, but it can also be a scale problem as well, where they just inundate you kind of like a DDoS.
So technically, the flip side of that then is technically how easy is it to tackle or not, from your end of things?
If we're doing our jobs well, it's getting easier. The reason I say that is the more partners bring on, the larger we get our global network, we're just getting a larger visibility into what's happening online across the 12,000 websites and apps we secure. A good way to think about this is, let's say you're a bank or you're a large provider. You can have a strong depth of information, but it's very much in your ecosystem, your pool. What we're trying to do is expand your view outside of that, because these fraudsters, if they're attacking you, they're probably attacking someone else in your industry or another company. We're trying to identify that, score it appropriately, and tell you, even though it's maybe the first time it's coming to your door.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very indiscriminate attack, isn't it? They don't, or do they go after particular brands because they've identified a weakness?
Yes, it's very much, I want to say yes to both. If they identify a weakness, what you want to do is obviously exploit that, right? Until they put up safeguards or countermeasures in play, but you want to maximize that opportunity as much as humanly possible. But there is definitely conversations that are having on the fraudsters side, where they're sharing best practices, tips, tricks that work for them, particularly to certain industries. You know, when I think about travel, and what's so great about learning from this conference are the great experiences and offerings that they're providing to good customers. A fraudster absolutely wants to take advantage of that, because they know these companies are trained and they're supporting positive experiences. So they're just saying, give me some of that.
Right, okay. There's nothing a consumer can do really though, isn't it? Because loyalty fraud is different than ID fraud and things like that. So unless they can they sense some, sense makes it sound like some kind of mind games or something, but do you know what I mean? What actions do they take if they can, if they do see it?
There are very simple things. A lot of times I equate this to eating your vegetables.
Okay.
Let me explain.
Okay, let's go with this, right?
Yeah, vegetables, you know you're supposed to eat them. Sometimes you do not, I'm sorry. Password hygiene is really important. If you're using your same password across multiple sites, it's a good practice just not to do that. Again, that's where people can really get into trouble, where the thing that the same password they use on their email address is the same one that their loyalty program's using, and so in cracking one, you get access to multiple accounts. They can definitely do that. Secondly, I always say reporting and talking about these things is so important. If you talk about Sift Science or you talk to us, people generally say we're chatty. That's by design, because we want to learn, that's what's happening. I just want to disabuse people of the notion that speaking about fraud is a bad thing or it's a taboo thing. It's going to happen to people eventually. What's more appropriate, and hopefully what I think we leave people with, is how you respond to that is just as important. So I think there's a lot of what customers can do, but I can appreciate the fact they're relying on companies to secure their information, which maybe they're not a participant in.
I liked the vegetables analysis. That was great. So Jeff from Sift Science, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.